Hi everyone, I'm Laaika Amod and I am currently a first year medical student at the University of Pretoria. However, this is not my first year out of high school. As much as I wish I could say it was, I have a bit of a backstory on how I got to where I am. Firstly, a bit of a background on me. I'm 19 years old from Johannesburg in South Africa and I am currently pursuing, thankfully, what I wanted to do. However, my journey to medicine took a bit longer than the general journey. Okay, so a bit of a background on the school I went to and the type of student that I was. I went to a pretty smaller predominantly Muslim school in Auckland Park in Johannesburg. And I was never the top of the class student. I was always a student within 70s and 80s in terms of my marks. However, my dreams were a lot higher than my marks. I, honestly speaking, did not know what I wanted to do after school from around grade 10, grade 11. It was only around grade 12 when I actually had to apply that I started taking this what am I going to study thing a bit more seriously. I did not have any options. I went through things like teaching, occupational therapy, nursing, medicine, but I genuinely had no clue to what I actually wanted to be. I then did a bit of introspection. I realized, okay, I want to be in health sciences. At least at this point, I had a field of what I wanted to get into. However, I still did not realize the implications of my marks in actually getting to what I wanted to do. It was only around the end of my grade 11 year, start of my matric year, that I decided I wanted to go ahead and pursue medicine. However, my marks were not high enough, particularly my physics marks. So my maths, my accounting were all sitting around 75, 8 to 85%, somewhere around there. Don't know the exact marks, to be completely honest. My physics mark was sitting within the range of 55 to 60%. So that was obviously a great hurdle in getting acceptance to anything. As much as I tried, as much as I worked, which in hindsight was not enough and not hard enough, but I could not get to a higher mark, and unfortunately this was my letdown when I finished matric. But anyways, I applied for medicine. I applied at Wits, I applied at University of Pretoria. I don't think I applied to universities out of the Gauteng region in my first year out of high school. And unfortunately, I was rejected everywhere. Not even just waitlisted and will reconsider, flat out rejected, which, to be honest, was expected. I saw that coming. I realized that my marks were definitely not high enough to get in, and so I definitely saw the rejection coming. I then was pretty stranded because I had an option of podiatry that I didn't want to do, excuse me, and I didn't have much else. I was accepted for the graduate entry program. I think it's Bachelor of Health Sciences at Wits, and I was accepted for a BSc in Biological Studies, also a gateway route into medicine here at the University of Pretoria. And I felt as though the acceptance rates for both of those into medicine were pretty low and very difficult to actually get into. And one of my main reasonings is that once you finish that degree, if you eventually don't get into medicine, there's not much of a career after that. No disrespect to anybody who is pursuing the degree, that's just was my personal feelings about the degree. So I went ahead and I asked the University of Johannesburg, would it be possible to get in without having applied? And obviously the answer was no. But after I'd gotten my matric certificate, I went there, and because there was an extra space open in nursing, which personally I believe was meant for me. I'm a firm believer in what we in Islam call destiny or taqdeer, that all the good, all the bad that's meant for you is going to come for you. And I personally believe that this spot was written for me there. There is a particular reason why when I applied, I didn't get in, that there was a reason I had to experience this route into medicine. But nonetheless, I was accepted for nursing, and I went ahead and I did it for the full year. It was very difficult. The year was very challenging, academically, mentally, physically even. there's academic work, but there's also clinical work. There's also clinical lab skills every week. So you essentially working Monday to Thursday every week with very few holidays in the middle. And because of my lack of hard work in matric, particularly the first half of the year when I wasn't really working that hard, I wasn't that used to working very, very hard all the time. So in matric, I would study 1 or 2 hours a day. In the start of the year, towards the end of the year, that's when I really pulled up my socks and I started working a lot harder. But I think it was too late by then to actually make a drastic change in my marks. But because of my work ethic in matric, it really, really messed me up when I came to university, and they expected this really hardworking individual, and I was not that. I was a person who really enjoyed taking time out and relaxing and going places, and staying at home and studying was never really something that I wanted to do. However, COVID happened, and I couldn't really go anywhere. I don't think anybody could, and I was forced to really stay at home and put my mind to my work and actually work really hard. And if I'm honest, one of the best things that came out of the pandemic for me was that I really realized not just how hard I work, but how rewarding hard work is, and also how much of potential I have. I didn't think that I could achieve pretty high marks at that point, but once I started working hard and once I started getting the results that I got, I realized how worth it actually is to work hard. So unlike my matric year where I didn't work very hard, in my nursing year I worked insanely hard, possibly harder than I've worked in anything my entire life, not just academically in the anatomy and the physiology that you do, but also in the clinical work. 12-hour and 10-hour shifts at a Johannesburg public hospital are no joke. Not for a med student, not for a nursing student, it's just really no joke. So going there fresh out of high school, not really knowing what to expect at all, really being thrown straight into the deep end and told, deal with it, was very difficult, but it was something that really molded me into the person that I am now. I possibly would not have matured or grown at all in the year, it being stagnant at home with online all the time, had I not had to go out and work all the time. But I did it. I dealt with it. It was difficult. I cried a lot, but I managed to deal with it. However, in my work, there was always an element of, I didn't actually want to do this. I actually wanted to get into medicine. I didn't actually want to do nursing. And when you in a class of 50 nursing students and on about 30 of them wanted to get in for another health sciences degree, particularly medicine or dentistry, didn't get in and then transferred into nursing. And in no way am I saying this is all nursing students, this is just the particular group of nursing students that I was with. It's very difficult to be happy with what you have and very easy to get sucked into this thing of, no, this is where I wanted to be and unfortunately this is where I am. And so there were certain aspects in the hospital that I couldn't handle. Aspects such as having to go into the nurse's tea room and walk past the doctor's room with a couch and, cool a coffee machine, and we had to go into a nursing room with a steel table and a few chairs that are all shaky and don't even work. So I was very, very upset about that. I could not handle it at all. And to be completely honest, it made me very bitter about doing nursing, about actually going to work and working and trying to be the best nurse that I can, but knowing that deep in my heart somewhere, I'm very envious about the people that are working in the hospital here. Nonetheless, I knew that I didn't have much of a choice. Unfortunately, my marks had let me down, and so I had no choice but to continue working as a nurse. However, I reapplied in the middle of my nursing year for medicine. I reapplied to Pretoria, I reapplied to Medunsa, and then I also applied to Stellenbosch and UCT. However, my chances of moving to Cape Town were pretty slim. I didn't reapply to Wits University, mainly because that they needed a graduate to write to get, as they call it, into their medical degree, which would have taken me an additional 2 years. So I didn't go ahead and reapply to Wits. I reapplied in Pretoria. In October of 2020, I went for a pretty big knee operation, and so I was very out of everything. I was not even checking my academic results of the university, let alone checking my university portals for my applications. I had completely forgotten about reapplying. I was in a really bad spot mentally and also physically because I couldn't really go anywhere or walk much. However, I received an email from Medunsa, or Safago Makato University, telling me that I was accepted for medicine. And this was a very big turning point, I think, in my career choice at that point. Because now suddenly this dream of mine of becoming a doctor that I had very much wrapped up and pushed in the tiny little crevice of my heart somewhere there, was now opened, and it was exposed again, because now what do? I have an acceptance from a degree that I really, really wanted to do. However, my mom was a bit hesitant about sending me to Garankuba. She said it's a bit dangerous, it's a bit far. I haven't stayed alone before. It's going to be a massive turning point. Don't I want to reconsider maybe doing something? At that point, I was considering teaching or sonography. If you're not familiar with that, what that is, it's basically radiography, but with the ultrasound aspect added. So I was a bit hesitant to accept my offer at Safago Makato. She then asked me, Laaika, what happened to your application at the University of Pretoria? Keep in mind, at this point, I had already been rejected for biological sciences, so the gateway route into medicine. And so for me, this was, oh my God, I'm going to open this portal and there's going to be a whole nother rejection over there. Not realizing that chances are that if they reject you for your second choice, it means they're considering you for your first choice. But I didn't realize at that point. For me, it was, oh my God, this is another rejection coming. So I opened it, and there it was. Congratulations, you have been conditionally admitted for medicine. And I sat and I remember I stared at the screen and I really couldn't believe it. Till now, I sometimes go back and I read my portal where it says, congratulations, you've been admitted. Please don't forget to send in your online contract or something of that sort. But because I finally realized, hey yo, it's happening. Like this aspect that I really dreamed about for so long, what I never thought would happen, finally is happening. I'm going and I'm going to do it. And I didn't really think about it much. I didn't think about the implications that accepting this offer in Pretoria. So I didn't realize that I'd have to move to Pretoria. I didn't realize that I would have to stay away from home or find a way to, at that point, till now, I don't have a driver's license. So getting up and down, I would have to learn how to use the train. I would have to learn how to survive by myself. I also didn't take into account the massive amount of expenses that were going to happen there. I would not receive any post-matric bursaries. I would have to pay for accommodation. These were things that I obviously never had to consider before, that suddenly became a very big part of actually going to pursue this degree. But I persevered, and I'm so thankful that at least my parents also were very supportive of that. My dad was over the moon with me going to become a doctor. My mom, I won't lie, was a bit worried, but she was happy. And I think she really supported me on that, and I'm so thankful for that. And yeah, now I am here and I'm in first year, and I'm really struggling. The physics and the chemistry is very difficult, but at least it's one semester. Once you get through that, hopefully, I know it doesn't, but hopefully it will tend to get a bit easier. But yeah, how did I actually manage to get in? To be completely honest, I'm not sure. I know that it was a combination of my matric marks and my university nursing marks. However, I don't know the percentages they used or how much of each marks that they used, or whether it was more distinctions rather than actual marks. I don't know. What I do know is that if you work really, really hard, my nursing marks at the end of the year, I had finished with distinctions in everything. First semester modules, second semester modules, full year modules, everything. And not just 75, 76% distinctions. I had 85 to 95% distinctions in everything, which for me was a massive shock. I think the online work really assisted me in doing well. That I was at home, I was comfortable, I had recordings available to watch and rewatch again. So that was really helpful. But also, I now had a taste of what hard work, the reward of hard work is. And once you get used to doing well, you get addicted to that feeling, and you really don't want to regress and get to a point where you're not succeeding anymore. So I think just work really, really hard. If you have a dream of getting into something, don't be dumb like me and package it and push it somewhere and forget about it. Consistently work towards it. Like I said in the start, your belief that what is meant for you is going to come to you is going to assist you in achieving everything, because you know that your spot is guaranteed somewhere, and it's just a matter of you working towards that spot, and actually working towards achieving what you are meant to achieve. Don't realize that, don't think that, oh, I'm not worth it, or oh, I'm too dumb for that, or I can't really get there. Realize that this is your potential, and if you are not going to recognize your own potential and work towards your own potential, you are the only one that is going to suffer. Nobody else is going to think about, oh, she could have got there. They're going to go on and live their life, and you're the only one that is essentially going to be stuck where you are. So really work hard. That's honestly my only key advice. Find a method of studying that works for you. It be highlighting and rewriting, or typing notes, or watching YouTube videos about the concept, whatever it may be. But really find a way that works for you. Study that, work super, super, super hard, meet all your deadlines, and never, never, never quit. And I promise you, at some point you will see yourself in the degree that you want to see yourself. But yes, that's me. That is my journey into medicine. It's not a lot. Thankfully, it's a lot fewer years than a lot of other people who have to complete degrees, who have to finish degrees, work in those degrees, and then reapply. Thankfully, I'm very lucky that I only got 1 year additional added to my very long medical degree. But it's a year that I'm hoping is going to help me in the future. I'm hoping that it's a year that the experience of it is really going to help me further on in my clinical skills. And yeah, hopefully one day I will see you as Dr. Amod, if I get there, if I get that far. But thank you.